Great. And I see some of our regulars. Welcome back for the people who show up on a regular basis and anybody else who's new. So, usually we do something interesting out here. And one of the things that, as I was coming up with different topics for us to cover and use our ChatGPT or our AI for, is that if we're in business, most of us are looking for some sort of good review. And you know what? That's just a pain to have to go out and try to gather reviews from people, but they are so important because they help to build trust and sales. So that's what we're talking about today. I think you're going to really like the results because you're going to be able to use this prompt over and over again. So the usual thing we talk about for a free version of ChatGPT. You'll see that information on the slide if you want to use the free version. And then if you want to download a file from the chat window, Laura and Rachel, probably Rachel, are going to put the slides in here for you in a PDF format so you can download that. And then ultimately, we'll be giving you the prompt for today. And let's go on here. So, why we're getting together, it's always good to kind of review this just to impress on our brains. Sometimes I have to hear things 10 times, but AI is happening. There's so much. I go out and follow some podcasts and get training on different levels, and there is so much going on in AI and changing, and so many companies are getting into the middle of it here. And of course, if you are an employee or have employees that know how to use it to help their employers, then they're going to be more highly valued. And people who don't learn how to use AI, unfortunately, are going to be left behind. The saying that I have heard is that AI is not going to take your job, but potentially somebody who knows how to use AI will take your job. So that's something to keep in mind. So in this day and age, success really is less about what those things that you learned back in school. It's more about what you can do. Too hard to try to remember whatever you learned way back when. I can't remember too much of that myself. It's more about what are you faced with on a day-to-day basis and that you need to solve. So of course there's a financial perspective, and if we're working faster and smarter and more efficiently, we're going to be able to be better, and that's going to help us financially. Our teams, we want our teams to be able to work faster, smarter, and more effectively. And that means that we can provide our services or products in more elegant ways. And I'm coming up with some new service products that we're going to be offering here in the future. So I'm using AI to help me think my way through that as a thinking partner. And then for our clients, if we want them to use AI, we may have to, maybe they're not interested in AI right now, but maybe if we start using AI and helping them, then they'll start to pick up on the value of that and they can be more productive. Agreements, we're recording. Our recordings will be available generally in 5 to 7 business days. And if you want a link to get to that page, of course, I'm sending out usually the week after our double seminars, our double workshops, we send you a link to that page. So hopefully you guys all have access to that. Late arrivals, unfortunately, we're going to have to close the door about 10 minutes after we first share, after we get started, so that there's not interruptions of trying to bring incomers up to speed. So this rewards the people that show up on time. And of course, be careful with confidential information to the extent possible. You can anonymize your data. And I know the first time I went through this particular prompt, I was actually putting real names in there, and instead I might have changed it to, instead of a specific name, I might have used a Sue M or something, because you would know who that is yourself within your own client base, because it's going to ask you to identify a few clients. So on the breakout sessions, you're going to see a timer on your screen showing how long is left in your breakout session. And then there's going to be a short delay before you rejoin the main Zoom meeting. And we always like to remind you, it's going to feel like we booted you out. We didn't. We just stopped the breakout session, and you will come back into the main session shortly after. And the breakout sessions are not recorded, so you can chat with each other and see what you see. So how I got involved in AI, I started exploring this over a year ago, and I got hooked and started trying to think AI first for myself and for my company. And my why I really had to sit down and think about this. I'm going, what is it about this AI that is making me really enthused and happy? And it's really because, of course, over 30 years, I've been working with clients and saying, oh, get your numbers in shape and then use your numbers to run your company more profitably. But lots of times I found that clients, even though the accounting system was in good shape and maybe the person who was doing the bookkeeping had things together, but company owners were not necessarily jumping in and using those numbers to become more profitable. So I went, AI is a broader based way for people to improve profitability in their company, and that I could use it to finally move beyond the numbers, above and beyond those numbers to help our clients. So I joined the Simple AI Consultants Group with more than 100, I think we're at about 120 AI focused consultants, where we do share AI training and creative applications. They do have fantastic training options. If you work through me, we can get you into that training program as well. And when I got into Simple, I found out how to use AI for every role within every organization. Today's workshop flow. We're almost up to our 10 minutes, so we're going to talk about this and then we'll close the door. If you will download and save this PDF slide deck from the Zoom chat, I'll wait for that to show up in your chat. And then you can download and copy. Don't do anything with it yet. Download and copy today's prompt into your chat GPT or whatever AI program you're using. If you're in chat GPT, we recommend using 4.0. And today's objective is to ask ChatGPT to help you obtain a glowing testimonial or a review from a client at the best time and without being pushy. Okay, some examples and idea starters. Some of the things that you're going to be exposed to in this is, why do you want to obtain those reviews or testimonials? What's the difference between reviews and testimonials? Because they are different and you use them in different places. It help you to start thinking about who have you worked with who'd be willing to share a positive review. So just start mulling through those clients in your mind. Is there a specific step that you accomplish that a client is really delighted about? And I've noticed that when I'm working with somebody and somebody goes, oh, wow, look at that. I didn't know I could do that. That's a really good time to make a note of it and ask it sometime shortly thereafter if you can get their endorsement on that. And then what review sites do you want to appear in? For example, I would keep being informed by my marketing people that Google My Business is really important. Or if you're in the Intuit realm, the Find a Pro advisor. But there may be other places where you want to get reviews posted. I know that there are many, but hopefully this prompt's going to help you think about those. So start thinking about where those positive interactions might apply in your world and make a note for yourself. What we're going to do is work with your individual results for 12 minutes. But before you start, I'd like to we can stop and look at the prompt itself, because hopefully I'd like you guys to start thinking about building some of your own prompts eventually. And if you look at the structure of these prompts, lots of times I start with something and then I start tweaking it and changing it to get it to give me what I want. So we'll look at that for a moment and then we'll go into our breakouts and collaborate and discuss our results. And then we'll spend a few minutes with our group takeaways and wrap up. And then I'll have an AI tip to share with you. So let's move on. Let's go look at this prompt. Of course, copy. You can do a Control A to make sure that everything is copied, and then Control C, and then a Control V to paste it. Control C would be your copy, and then your paste. Now, you'll see here that we've given ChatGPT a few instructions. We're saying, who are you going to act as? Your friendly professional assistant who walks users step by step through the process of getting great client testimonials and reviews. So we're telling ChatGPT the persona that we want it to take on. And then we say, here's your job. Here's your job description. And you'll read through that. I'm not going to read it off to you, but there's a whole series of steps in there. And then always ask questions where needed, and pause for the user's input before continuing to the next step, because it may just want to race through all the steps and not wait for you to give it an answer. And the answers that you give it are going to inform the next layer of information that you get. And then keep the tone encouraging, clear, and results focused. So you're telling it how you want it to talk to you. You're training your assistant. So here's the first message to the user. And do you want to start with, it's going to ask you, do you want a quick overview of why testimonials and reviews matter? Or do you want to just jump straight into identifying which clients might be your best candidates? I would say start here. And then here's the step-by-step prompt, and you can read through that. We haven't really done this before, to just sit down and look at the prompt before we use it, but I think it's good training to really kind of read through it and see what elements are included. And what happens is, when I get this prompt ready for you, I run it and then I go, oh, no, didn't do this. Oh, yeah, I want to add that. Testing it a couple times is worthwhile. Now, the other thing that you can do is do something called a custom GPT. If you get a prompt you want to use over and over again. And I don't have time to go into doing that, but I created a custom GPT that we can use internally. I can give that link to other people in the company, and then they can go and use this to go out and help get some additional reviews and testimonials. One of these times we'll talk about custom GPTs. So if we're good and ready to go, I'm going to pull up our timer and we'll run 12 minutes. And I will hush up for that 12 minutes and let you guys go to work. And any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, and Laura or Rachel will help respond. So we're down to just a little less than a minute. Again, sometimes we don't get done with everything that's in the prompt. Sometimes we do. Just do your best, and then you can continue it afterwards if you'd like. Okay, there's the end of our timer. Woohoo! We were chatting in the background, Laura, Rachel, and I, and rather than doing breakout rooms with this limited number of participants, it seems like maybe there's more value for everybody if we just kind of check in with each person and see what you thought of what you got. So let's move on down this little thing. That's the 12 minutes for sharing in breakout rooms. We're not going to do that. We will just all share with each other. And then I'm going to pull this reflections up, so maybe you can also address one of these things if you feel like it or not. So let's just go around and talk about what we found. And so to kick things off, let's start with Laura.
Okay.
What you got?
I took a look at the prompt this morning, and since I don't work with clients as much as some of our other team members, I really had to stop and think about what kind of response I wanted to provide to it. And when I finally thought about it, I was able to say, okay, here's my anonymized person and the general area that I thought would be a good idea to take a look at. And so I provided that information, and I was prompted to provide a little bit more information afterwards. And it took me some time to go out and find a clip, a testimonial, an idea of the kind of testimonial that I was going to feed back to ChatGPT. So I didn't get a lot further than that as far as getting a script to use with a potential person who would provide a testimonial. But I thought that the information and the prompts that I got back were spot on for being able to continue.
And one thing is, too, even if you're not working directly with clients, some of your clients are internal clients. And I know in some companies that people who are employees gather reviews or feedback from other employees in the company, and that gives them some little credits, so to speak. So there are different ways to think about this as to who is your client, who are you delivering services to, and it probably doesn't hurt to once in a while ask for that kind of feedback, even if they're just internal clients. So.
I hadn't thought about the internal team member as a client. So that's a good insight. Thank you.
Diane,
like,
I'm ready
okay,
if you'd like me to go. It's
sure.
Lori.
Yeah.
And feeding off of what Laura said, instead of providing a sample scripting of what I was looking for, I gave ChatGPT a quick outline of the customer, the company size, a short synopsis of what I did for them, and a statement that each of the two clients I was talking about had made about working with me. And then that allowed it to give me some thoughts and ideas on where to post, as well as drafting what could be reviews for our client to actually post for us. So it was super easy, super informative, and it takes a lot of the stress out of asking for the review because, again, I have a hard time asking for the order. For me, being able to look at this and be like, hey, this is a great time and let's do it, it really helped me with some of the wording that I might need to use, with the prompts that need to happen. And it also clarified when I should be asking, not at the beginning of an appointment and not after something went terribly wrong,
Because
which
things do go
never
terribly
happens.
wrong. Sometimes things go south in the middle of a project, and sometimes you have to back the bus up a little bit and get things back on track. Yeah, that's not a good time to ask.
No, but it can be a strength. It can be allowing the client to express their frustration that, yeah, we had this happen, but here's how it was handled, and it was handled professionally or whatever that is. So, yeah, it was super, super easy to use. I liked it.
Cool. And you can keep asking ChatGPT for more as you go, but it kicks the whole process off. Michael, what did you come up with?
I got through step 9, and a lot of it, when it gave me a choice, it said, do you want to do, like here after step 8, it said, would you like help creating a thank you message? Or are you ready to move on to step 9? I said, thank you note to go with a gift card, and then step 9. So it did that and then it moved on without having to ask for something else. So I like that you can give it more than one thing to do as long as you tell it what order to do it in.
Mm-hmm.
But it came up with some really good ideas for me, and with a checklist that I have, it put it into the canvas for Word document formatting. And it came up with some draft testimonials based on the information I put in about some of the clients, and some emails, and just a whole bunch of different information to go back and think about, and then pick and choose what I'm going to use.
Good. So you think you'll use this again in the future for,
Yes.
I mean, it's not just a one-time thing because you kind of need to gather testimonials as you go. The other thing I'm going to mention that you talked about was when it gives you a PDF to download or a Word document to download, do it then. Don't wait for an hour because it'll say, oh, sorry, I've gone ahead and moved on. You'll have to recreate it. So I would say when you get one of those, download them right away. I learned my lesson. So I might as well share mistakes with you guys as well as
That's a
as
Thank
good
you.
tip. I
victories.
never would have thought that it wouldn't be available for you a little bit later down the line.
I don't know what the exact time frame is, but I know that I'd be working on something and then get pulled away, and then I'd come back, go, oh, I want to download that, and I go, oh, sorry. So I would just ask it to recreate it, and it would recreate it. That's another step you don't necessarily want to go through.
And to
Okay.
interject just ever so briefly, I asked ChatGPT how much time it saved me by providing this to me, and the estimated savings are 2.5 to 3 hours of time. Beautiful thing.
Yeah, I have that in customization to always do that. And after I put the prompt in, the first response was, at the end of it, it said, save 30 to 45 minutes of planning and drafting. And then the next thing, it came down and then it said, give it to me again, but I can't find it now. But I thought that's always interesting.
Yeah, because it can change its mind, just like a person can change its mind. So good, and I'm hoping that this is going to be really useful for people. So Shy, let's hear what you had to say.
Yeah, so for me, I take it at a point that totally startup business, and then, for example, that you don't have any idea how to ask testimonials, reviews, what can it offer to me or what can it suggest to me, and it given a very detailed step-by-step process as well, how to ask testimonials, strategizing while starting up, like planting seed for your client, like that, and also what platforms that I'm going to use it. And I asked like for me the useful or important ones in terms of business like LinkedIn and Google, but it also gave me why what options if you're going to have a one-on-one client, then LinkedIn is the best way to do it. And then for a group, then you can offer it in Google, like you can put it in Google Business. And it drafted me as well how to request testimonial. So it pretty much, if you are doing it for the first time or two, you don't have any idea on how to take a step on asking reviews, then it pretty much gave me all the steps and processes that I can have there.
Cool. And since you're working for an established business, hopefully you will be using this, and I'll give you the link to that custom GPT. Yeah. Okay, good. And Andy, are you at a spot where you would like to share?
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back.
Hi.
Sorry, it's one of those important calls that you just had to take. So I am the CEO of Aqua Luxury Consulting. You can .com that if you'd like to search it up someday. So a lot of where my comes into play, obviously it's just me as far as employees goes. I'm holding down the fort, front line, back line, and everywhere in between. So it's trying to get through the value that I bring to people about re-examining their financial strategies to be able to weather the ups and downs, if you will, of business ownership that maybe a lot of my clients have become accustomed to the conformity and comfortableness of being a corporate person, right? Like I was for 20 years. Now, as a business owner, it's a different game entirely. It's done a lot of really interesting follow-ups and prioritizing of communication where yeah, I have to honestly say maybe that was a little bit of a weak spot for me. So it's just niching down into how to do that more effectively, including an onboarding process for clients. And they even suggested writing a mini ebook called 10 Ways to Financially Store-Proof Your Business. So
Was
I
this
don't know.
for
Diane, every
getting
time
re
I join one of these classes, my brain gets blown up. So I'm gonna have to sit down and just take a
Okay.
second to absorb all of it.
Yeah, do you think, Andy, do you think this will help you find ways to ask the clients that you've worked with for positive feedback to get testimonials to get posted?
Yes, most definitely. For the clients that I've had that I'm still working with that we haven't gotten to the end game yet, they're still working with me, so I must be doing something right. So yes, at the end, I think having good feedback that I can use and leverage on my website and to other clients would be invaluable. You can't pay for a good review. It's nice.
That brings up a really good point. I've got a bonus handout. Have we put that out there, Laura and Rachel? I
We
got
have
a
not put
bonus
it
for
out there
you.
yet.
Okay, let's go put that into the Zoom chat and everybody can open it and take a quick look. Actually, I can show it to you on the screen while it's going out there. So this is when to request a glowing review. So you don't have to wait until you're done with a project. I used to feel like, oh, I got to wait till I'm done. Well, by the time you get to the end of a project, like a client's enthusiasm in many cases has gone away. I don't know if you guys have found that. They're going, okay, we got it done. Okay, ready to move on and go to something else. So here are some things to do throughout, right after a win or success, during or just after the final delivery. So that's waiting till the end. You could have a big bang up end going, here's what we did, and here's how it's going to help you, and so on. Another time would be at natural check-in points during the long-term work. Sometimes a project will go over months, once in a while, a couple of years, but hopefully not. But I would say over months is pretty typical for bigger projects. So at natural check-in points, after they refer somebody, after they've done something nice for you, believe it or not, after somebody's done something nice for you, it's a good time to ask them again because they're obviously in a giving mood. at that point, and you don't want to ask it at these times. You may have somebody else helping you get reviews and so on, but you want to work with that person to make sure that the timing is going to work out well. A while back, when I was a little bit more on top of asking for comments, as soon as I got done with a client appointment where I thought things had gone really well, I would ask my assistant to go approach that client right away and ask for the review. Yeah, so hopefully you can kind of keep this as a side note outside of the actual prompt itself as a referral to refer to. So let's go ahead and keep moving on. This is our advertising page. Every time you open a magazine, you get lots and lots of ads. So this is our ad. And I don't know, hopefully you guys are clicking through and looking at some of these things. We've got some pretty cool tools out here. Take a look at them. I invite you to take a look. And if you have any questions about any of these things, of course, we're here. And if you want this little, what we call a lead magnet, 10 ways AI training transforms teams and drives results. Well, even if you're a one-person team, you're still a team. You're out pulling the wagon. So if you would like this, you can request it. And of course, you can always click on my calendly.com down here, info-plus. And that's our ad. So our AI tips. Now, not everybody's going to be able to do this, but a couple weeks ago, ChatGPT upgraded their game when it came to pictures. It used to be you could put a request for a picture in, but if there were any words in the picture, they were never spelled right. They could scramble spelling up something terrible. And now the spelling comes out. I listened to a guy on a podcast and he said he did like 20 banners for a big birthday party and only one of them had a spelling error in it. So I would imagine he just asked it to fix itself. So here's an example of a prompt. Please create you want to tell it what size you want. I learned this before the upgrade, but this is part of the prompt. And tell it what kind of a file you want. Do you want to, and I tried saying JPG, but it still gave me a PNG file, which is fine. That shows whatever you want it to show. And so here's my first picture, because I said it was a happy, carefree couple driving down a beautiful country road with the wind in their hair. On the upper right background, their bookkeeper is hard at work taking care of their financial data entry. And a banner at the bottom of the picture proclaims, enjoy your vacation, we'll care for your books while you're away. What it did was it created a link out here so you guys could go click on that link. I didn't give you the link for the second one because, again, this is just an illustration. So that did a darn good job. I didn't touch it. I didn't change it, other than I wanted to play with changing it. Now, before, when you asked a picture to change, it would start from scratch. It would start with something totally from scratch. Now, in this case, because I changed the background and made some pretty major changes, I said I wanted a seaside drive and I wanted it to be photorealistic. I didn't see a huge difference between the two, but again, it's experimental. I did like the bookkeeper in the circle up above. I changed the banner to say vacation vibes and we'll handle the books while you're away. So you can modify it. And I modified the wording, the background, and changed it to photorealistic.
Did
Now,
you also say to go to England?
I was just going to mention that.
go to England where
The driver's on the wrong
wheel.
side.
The wheels on the wrong side.
Oh yeah, there. Okay, so there's a thing to watch. Very sharp, Rachel. There's something to watch. I found that I want to watch when you get pictures, either before or after this change. You want to make sure they're the right number of fingers that people have, that they don't have 6 fingers or 3 fingers, whatever. You kind of want to look around and see. So the one on the right, he's on the right side, he's on the proper side, but they flipped things on this one. Yeah, very good catch. I wouldn't have even thought about it myself, but you're right.
As someone who's lived in California, I can tell you it's not just an England thing. The Californians do have quite a few cars out there on the coastline that have right-hand drive. But
really?
oh
Okay,
yeah,
well,
because you
that
have to be
explains why he's on
wealthy
the
and
right,
different. Yes, you
driving
have
on
to
the
be.
right side of the road, but
Yes, you have to be fantabulous and different in Cali. So yeah, there are quite a few right side drive cars that have been brought over. But I agree with you. It's kind of huh?
Right. Now, I'm going to give you some things because not everybody can do this. There's a screenshot I gave you from ChatGPT, and I said, can the free version do it? Unfortunately, no. The free version will not let you do those pictures. However, they give you some workarounds that you can create your prompts and then put those prompts into tools like DALL-E 2, and there's a link, or use third-party image generators like Canva AI or Bing Image Creator. I didn't try those. Again, just a screenshot. And then of course, if you're at the $20 a month level, then it gives you access to GPT 4.0 as of May 2024, which lets you do these kinds of pictures. And so it supports what they're calling in painting, a new term for me, which means image editing and custom sizes. So I could have made it 500 by 700 or something if I wanted a different kind of dimension. I just wanted to let you guys know that one thing, which for me was a major improvement. When I went and did a recent presentation for the Home Builders Association, I had 12 slides, and I always put a picture per slide, and 7 of the 12 slides were generated through ChatGPT. Yes.
Just a quick, I've been writing some blogs and I've asked ChatGPT to come up with a graphic for it, but for it to go on the website, it has to be a certain dimension. And I'm having trouble that it goes, okay, I'll do it in this dimension, but then it comes up and then the picture is a different dimension.
Okay, I'm going to suggest a third party, a different software. So one of the best pieces of software that's a staple for everybody at our company is called Snagit. And in Snagit, if you get your picture, you can very easily, I don't have it pulled up right now, but you can very
Okay.
easily change your dimensions. You can, it has so many capabilities and it's wonderful for documenting procedures for people. You can use it to do short videos. You can change the sizes. And I'm going to have the other people in my firm nod their head and go yay or thumbs up or something as to what they think about Snagit. Okay, Lori, and Shai.
Snagit is by techsmith.com. It is one of the most used tools that I have other than copy and paste. It's the next most used tool. I use it mostly for screenshots for my documentation, but it has so many additional features that you can use, including capturing video, editing video, etc. So highly recommended. And I used it for years before I joined Diane's team, paid for it myself because I thought it was that valuable.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And it's
Yeah,
not very expensive. It's
think it's
not very expensive
I think it's about $50,
for a
and
year.
then you can
Yeah.
upgrade it every year or every other year for a little bit less if you
Mhm.
get a maintenance plan.
And they have some great online training on how to use a whole bunch of the tips and tools they have out there. So it's pretty easy to get started with it and not struggle too much. So I
Okay,
found that really
great.
helpful also.
Cool. Yeah, so we're getting to talk about all sorts of interesting things. Looking ahead now, last time I missed, I had this over here, and then I don't know that I checked with anybody. Has anybody tracked their time saved? I heard Michael say that he was. Are other people tracking their time saved? Just raise your hand if you do. If you can set up a spreadsheet to record at least some of how you use AI and the time you save, then turn around and multiply, if you saved an hour and a half, multiply that by what your hourly billing rate is or by how much you cost your company. And it's not going to take too long to find out that you're saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars using some of these tools to get things done. And again, the estimate you get from ChatGPT may not be totally accurate, but it is worth thinking about. Lots of times the estimate they say where it's how much time they saved me, I'm going, it would have taken me longer than that. Because also you got pick up, put down time and etc. But writing can be very time consuming and editing is so much better. So you can look at what it says, it estimates the time you saved, then also multiply it by how many times you're going to save that time over and over again throughout the year. So the idea to try before our next workshop is try creating a picture. If you have the free version, follow the instructions for finding another way to create your picture. I just had some ideas. Maybe you want to do something fun, or you want to do something for the kids, or illustrate your AI skill to somebody. I know the first time I did a picture a long time ago, I said, I want to see a picture of a cute mouse with big eyes and a tool belt. And I never used it anywhere, but I had fun doing it. And yeah, the picture's going to be a lot of fun. Looking ahead, on Friday, our book is going to be Making Ideas Happen, Overcoming the Obstacles Between Vision and Reality. And I went through that prompt and really liked it. I got really good ideas and ways to use some of the ideas in this book for me. Again, work on your work. And then on Tuesday, 5/6, Andy is going to come in. Our Andy from our group here is going to come in with his own prompt that he'll help us create an ideal business. And one of the things is there are so many people, maybe we want to recreate our own business. Or you think back on, if I had it to do over again, what business would I create? Or maybe you've got a client that's really struggling and you can see they're just headed in the wrong direction. Maybe a college grad who is coming out of school and may not be having a lot of success in finding a job, and maybe they need to get started in their own business. Maybe somebody has been out of the workforce for a long time, and again, maybe getting something set up to be independent and running their own business might be the way to go. So Andy's going to bring us in a prompt and participate to bring a prompt to all of us. So that's going to be fun. You know, we'll have another one of our own out here helping us. So I believe that gets us out to the end. Any questions, anybody?
I have a comment. So I took Diane's suggestion of taking a picture and asking it to make some changes to it. And I just want you guys to know it's cool. I have a car I have offered up for sale, and I asked it to take the picture that's not a very good picture that's on my current website and place the car in front of a seaside and put a seagull in the front of it, and it turned out really sharp. And it color corrected the colors on the car. I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed. So just an FYI, give it a shot. Looks pretty good.
Nice. Anybody else?
I don't see anything else in the chat, Diane.
Now, here's my last little thing. I might be approaching some of you guys for a review or a testimonial on this series of workshops. So I might put this to work because I'd love to have some comments that we could share if we want to promote this for other people. And again, ask your friends to come. I think we're doing some pretty cool things out here, and you might want to share it with some people that you know. Other business associates, friends, neighbors, etc. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you on Friday. And we're going to figure out how to get all of those great ideas that are sitting in our brain and turn them into reality. So thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you on Friday.